Hello my friends and welcome back to Tabletop Tavern. Hope you're all doing well. Seemed like people really enjoyed seeing this game and I've still been having a ton of fun with it, so we're jumping back in for another run. If you missed my last video, this is a roguelike RTS, so as we progress through the game, we're going to be building an army, finding different artifacts to modify the effectiveness of our troops, and defeating enemies in real-time battles. It's exactly the type of game I've been hoping someone would make for years, and they finally did it. Let's just jump right into a campaign here. So as you can see, I've unlocked difficulty 4, Baron difficulty. Still, I think on the low end, it looks like there are 10 difficulty levels, so we're definitely in the lower end of the scale at the moment. But this does have stronger enemy armies, which I'm really happy about. I felt in my last couple runs like the enemy armies were a little on the easy side, so I am excited to see how this plays out. I'm going to try the Dracosaur brood this time. I haven't played these guys yet, and I've enjoyed the prevalence of monsters to this faction when we fought against them. So, our campaign bonus is we have the option to eat captives. We can heal our Dracosaur units. We have squads gain 8 weapon strength, max plus 16, so up to 2 of this bonus, for each additional squad attacking their target, so we want to gang up on enemies. Our unique unit is the Obsidian Scales, a really powerful infantry unit, and our hero gives our kobolds better leadership and melee attack, and if my army contains 5 or more kobold units, a random kobold will prestige on turn end. And we currently have just 4, so we need to find a 5th as soon as possible. Alright, let's jump in and see how this goes. Obviously, I'm still fairly new to the game, but I've been having a ton of fun with it. I should also mention that I know that in my last video, there were a couple audio issues, and that's because the game had some tracks that weren't licensed for streaming, so I had to remove them, and YouTube's tools for that are pretty bad. Reduce the cost of recruiting so it caused some audio distortion. That should be fixed because the developer has removed those tracks. He's been extremely responsive to feedback. Reduces the cost of recruiting from towns by 2 gold. Or give my common units melee attack and melee defense. I think this is really good given that we're going to be building a lot of kobolds. Or we could get the potato, increase in sell value each chapter, so we could get a bunch of gold later on. Let's just take conscription orders. I think it's just going to make the early game a lot easier. We could fight in the rain. We do have 1 large unit. Our brutes are large, and so we don't really want to fight in the rain. I could go get a gear item. We could go to these towns and attack either a Gruntkin or Ravenhost town. I think you should usually just attack the first town that you see. I think what I'm going to do is I probably want to take 2 battles. So we're just going to go up the left-hand side here and avoid fighting in the rain. Fighting in the fog, I think, should be okay. All right, well, we wouldn't have minded fighting in the rain against the double direwolf squad here. The other thing that the developer added was an auto-roll initiative setting. So I mentioned that I wanted that in my last video, and it has indeed been added. Let's go ahead and we'll hotkey like so. Group 1 and group 2. And we'll do a pretty simple setup, except I want to set up away from this goblin barracks. I believe those things only affect the enemies within the radius, though I'm not 100% sure. It doesn't seem like it's a capture point or anything. So if anyone knows exactly how this type of terrain effect works, I'm curious about that. I do want my units to all be attacking the same enemy. Whoops. Because then we get the bonus here. And I think we'll have our archers shoot the direwolves. And we'll have our brutes pile in. That should give plus 8 melee strength to all my units here. And then we'll have our archers hit this direwolf unit. I'm also going to rotate these guys out. Because casualties are permanent in this mode, we want to avoid taking as many as possible. Or in this game, rather. And so we want to rotate which of our units are tanking. Get a cinematic shot of us, of our brutes smashing through the goblins there. Really fun to see that. All right, so our scalebow kobolds, hard to say that. Our scalebow kobolds have very low range and don't do a ton of damage, but they're still pretty good. Just, I think range units in this game are just really strong. I wonder if at higher difficulties, range units get less effective, actually. All right, let's go ahead and claim rewards, and of course we'll take our bounty. We will recruit a unit here, and we're looking for a kobold unit of some kind so that we can start getting the random prestige. I'm going to take another scale bow, and this gives me the 5 kobolds. We could prestige these by combining them, but instead we're going to let them get the turn-in prestige from our character effect. Then I'm going to take the money here because I want to get to 25 so we can max out our interest. And yeah, we immediately got a prestige. That's going to be so strong. We're going to end up with so many gold kobolds by the end of the run. All right, well, this is a pretty easy fight as well. Looks like we're against orcs on this map. I haven't been that impressed with the Gruntkin units, honestly. So I don't know how many of them we're going to be recruiting, but we will when they give us an advantage, I suppose. But I'm not devastated that this is going to be our first map where we're probably going to take a lot of ransom captives. So on this fight, we're in the fog, of course. And what I want to do is have my units kind of gang up on the enemies here. I'm going to back up just a little bit. And then we'll have these two pile in here, and this one is going to split. And this way we get the +8 weapon strength bonus by splitting fire between them. And then our range units are just going to pile in. At first, when I didn't realize that this did differ from Total War, I was trying to like not have my range units stack on top of each other and stuff like that. But I don't think that actually matters in this game at all. Your range units do just fine even when they're stacked on top of each other. It also looks like when our units prestige, they do still get the full heal that you normally get from prestiging. So the kobold units can basically take infinite casualties, at least until they hit gold, because they're eventually going to prestige and heal for free, which is a really powerful campaign bonus. So very easy fight there. I feel like the Dracosaur units, or the Dracosaur faction, at least with this hero and the free prestiges, has to be super strong. Oh, nice. And we got a unit in a bottle potion. I don't know if this has like different odds of giving you units of specific levels at different points in the campaign. Like if I wait until Act 2 to use the unit in a bottle, am I likely to get a rarer unit, or is it just always the same odds? I would like maybe a codex that gives you more detailed behind-the-scenes information about this type of thing. Go ahead and recruit our unit here, and I think I will pick up a Dire Raptor unit. We have 5 kobolds, so these guys are going to prestige on their own anyways, and I don't need to put effort into doing that or buy more kobolds yet. And I do want at least 1 cavalry piece. So the Dire Raptors are going to be able to help hunt enemy artillery. We're going to beeline for 25 gold here. And then I will attack the village because that's going to get me a... Oh, and we hit gold on our brawlers here. 60 melee attack, 52 melee defense on the brawlers. These are incredibly strong early on. That's kind of amazing. I want to attack the village because it'll give me an artifact here. So far, I would say this campaign is going very well. We'll just put all of our units over here where they aren't going to get shot by the enemy, because the enemy gets to shoot over walls and we don't. And I want them targeting, yeah, this is what I wanted them targeting, are level 1 kobolds. As long as the gate is shooting at those, then we won't take any meaningful damage. Because the level 1 kobolds will eventually prestige and get all of their models back. Really just so powerful that we get that option. Now they're shooting our brutes, which is a little worse, but the gate should go down pretty soon. I just didn't want them shooting the dire raptors here. So the dire raptors have Blood Frenzy, which gives them double damage while they're above 50% health. So we really want to conserve the health on the dire raptors, because then they'll be extremely powerful. And we'll just kind of move our units in here. Doing a little bit of hotkeying. Just going to have my raptors get into combat, and then to minimize the amount of shooting the enemies get. The charge bonus is really good. All these effects that give you double damage are kind of ridiculous. I also wonder if we get an artifact that gives them anti-infantry or anti-large so that they get double damage again. Does that give them times 3 damage? Does it give them times 4 damage? Like, does it stack additively or multiplicatively? Does it stack at all? I don't want to lose... Okay, I'm losing too many models on the dire raptors. That was kind of sloppy. We lost 3 raptors there. So these guys are really squishy. They only have 15 armor, and very low health. So I do need to be pretty careful with them. Learning, of course, the power of these various units. But we'll get a prestige on one of our kobolds again. So, enter town. Loot gold, we're up to 25 gold. Loot gear. And we have the Raven's Eye. Uncommon and rare ranged units gain 20 accuracy. So we don't have any of those yet. We have common units here. But that will be powerful if we do get uncommon or rare ranged units. Do I want a dire wolves or a scrap shooters? They have 50 range compared to my guy's 45 range. Goblin rabble seem pretty bad. I guess let's get the dire wolves here. And then we won't be depositing gold. We'll go to this unknown area. And, okay, we're up against some uncommon orc units. Do I want to put my raptors in reserve and heal these 3 models? This feels like a very easy fight, so I can probably do that. We're also up against 2 enemy spear units, so I think we can reserve the raptors and get 3 models back on them. Since reserved units heal. And I don't expect to take too many casualties in this fight. It is funny that it deploys me by default with my brutes in the back. That's interesting. And then we'll have our dire wolves wrap and get on the goblin scrap shooters here. So one thing that is really nice is that your ranged units gain extra range as you prestige them. And so that can be really strong. I want the brutes not to be fighting the orc impalers, since those guys are anti-large, so we'll have them fight the dire wolves, have our brawlers fight here, and then I think we'll shoot these dire wolves. Our kobold brawlers, this is the level 1, or the not prestiged brawler, so it can soak some casualties since it's going to prestige and get the health back anyways. Gonna pile my kobold brawlers in on the scrap shooters, since they are picking off some dire wolves. So we want to get the scrap shooters fighting again. And then we'll rotate like so. Because I still don't want my brutes fighting the anti-large enemies. I moved my wolves too far away, though. Gave up a few casualties on this brawler unit, but other than that, I'd say this fight went very cleanly. And then we'll just pile everyone in here. We're also getting the bonus because multiple of our units are attacking that enemy. And we got our 3 raptors back. All right, so now I can start conscripting survivors because we hit our interest level. Let's recruit here. I could get another kobold unit. I could get another dire raptor unit and try to prestige that. I think I might get one more kobold scalebow kobold because just getting those prestiged is so strong. And I think I'd rather go for different monsters as my mobility pieces later on. And then here, I'll take an Orc Impaler's unit, though we may or may not end up actually using that long term. I don't really have enough money to go to the shop. I can attack one of these castles, so we can attack the Sanguine Court Castle, the Iron Legion Castle, or the Hillendor Forest Castle. There is a Sakura Dynasty city there, which, if I can attack it, could get me the Broken Arquebus unit, which we've seen just how powerful those are in my last run. Because I think we could conscript a purple unit from that, but that would be a tough fight. Let's go to this campsite. And here, I'm going to get a gear piece when I attack one of these towns. So let's just go ahead and prestige a unit. I was hoping it would hit not one of my kobolds, since those are going to prestige for free anyways, and it didn't, which is nice. And then... oh, that's interesting. Oh no, it hit this kobold unit. We got a gold kobold. Alright, and then let's take another fight here. We don't have enough money to want to go to a shop yet, I don't think. Armored dire wolves and dire riders, so a lot of mobility in this encounter. I don't care about taking casualties on the kobolds, but we can put our raptors back in and we'll have our orc impalers heal up. I could be using the unit in a bottle as well, and I guess I should probably do that. And let's go ahead and... game. It won't let me shift-click across those units for some reason. So we'll move our mobility out here, and we'll have our main army here. We could be cheesing the AI more by, like, corner camping and stuff, but honestly, these early fights are just not difficult enough to want to do that. Alright, so let's go ahead and... we'll move these guys out of the way. I'm going to have my mobility attack their mobility. Oh, wow. My dire wolves got flattened by the dire riders there. They took so much damage. I mean, they didn't die or anything, but that was still pretty brutal. We'll just send our brawlers up the middle here. And my range will take out these dire wolves, and my mobility will get on their range. And it looks like we should be able to do this with maybe even no casualties taken. Because we have these gold brawlers that are, with 52 melee defense, they're taking no damage. They have double the enemy melee attack in melee defense. So these gold brawlers, the fact that you get to prestige your unit so much is just absurd. I did lose a dire wolf there, though. We lost one model on the wolf unit. Alright. Our impalers healed. Let's go ahead and claim rewards. And we've got our money. We'll recruit a unit here. And... okay, so I can start... I don't really want another brawler, I don't think. Because it's going to take a while to prestige all this stuff. Although I think I probably will end up removing the raptors at some point, because we're just going to get better versions of that. So maybe I do just want another brawler unit, and our infantry corps is just going to be a bunch of gold tier kobolds. On the other hand, just taking the raptor unit, if I get one more of these, we can prestige them, and that's pretty good as well. And then, I don't think I actually want to conscript any of the orc units we just fought. Even the orc impalers are not that exciting, given that our infantry corps is going to be so high-powered just from prestige. So I think I'm actually just going to take the money here. And then we prestiged a bow unit. And then we'll go ahead and fight the garrison here. And anything that I don't want in, I guess we can get our wolves out and they can gain one model back. And we still don't care about the brawlers, since eventually they'll prestige and get their models back. Fighting a Mistwraiths and a Deathhaven Fiends. Haven't really gotten offered any of the cool monsters that this faction has yet, but those will come later on. And in these city fights, it's basically you just blob everything up and charge the gate on one side, I think. I mean, maybe there's a more efficient way to do this, but this feels pretty standard to me. Now that we are fighting in the rain, so our large units are a lot worse. Our raptors and our brutes are significantly worse in the rain. But our high-tier ranged units, or high-prestige ranged units, should be more than capable of just carrying this fight for us. Definitely want my ranged units shooting the non-shielded enemies. You can also flank. Shielding only prevents damage from the front, but trying to flank with your ranged units can be pretty challenging. Okay, so the Dire Raptors, I need to be more careful with these guys. They're so fragile. And we probably will end up having them leave our army at some point once we get more efficient mobility. Try to scoot them around the side where they can get in on the enemies, but I also want my units here not fighting... My large units, I don't want fighting the anti-large enemies. That being said, we ended up with that not really mattering since the enemies broke so quickly. It's so funny that the undead have morale in this game. We'll get our brawlers on the Deathhaven Fiends. Okay, these are Deathhaven Fiends, so they don't have anti-large or anything. And we'll just pile all our units in. As long as I don't get this brawler unit wiped out, that's okay. I think they are immune to... Yeah, they're immune to morale penalties from flanking, terror, and retreating allies. But they're not immune to morale. They still do just break and flee. Tip. If a unit has it is armor sundered. Nice. Another gold kobold. That's, for some reason, a very difficult tongue twister for me. Doubles gold when sold, max of 20. Okay, so I guess I'll take that and I'll sell it immediately. We get our 20. And we conscript survivors, and we get some Mistwraiths. We'll take the tier 2 unit. And then I could deposit gold for my metagame upgrades, but no need to do that yet. We'll just leave the castle here, and then we'll go on to yet another fight. Ooh, up against the Gobblepolt. Alright, well, we're definitely going to send a mobility piece to kill the Gobblepolt. And maybe we can recruit the Gobblepolt, which would be pretty nice. I still don't care about leaving these guys in reserve. I guess I'll leave my Orc Impalers in reserve and bring in the Mistwraiths, since these have lost one model. And while they're anti-large, which is kind of nice for fighting the dire wolves and armored dire wolves, yeah, actually, they are anti-large. Even though these guys will eventually heal for free, it's random when they do. So I'm just going to put them in reserve for now. And we'll bring in our Mistwraiths and Orc Impalers. Because having an anti-large unit against 4 sets of enemy large cavalry feels pretty important here. The auto roll for initiative fix was great, and I really do want to commend the developer for being so responsive to feedback so quickly after launch. No, what game? Why? I will say some of that definitely needs a little work, though. So we're going to move our units around here. The Gobblebolt isn't in range of anything yet. Funny the enemies aren't advancing. Can I trigger an advance by moving my cavalry up? Alright, so it's going to turn the Gobblebolt to look at them. I guess I'd better just move up then, or I'm going to be losing a lot of, yeah, just a lot of units for free here. Pretty good damage to my kobolds. But we're going to get our mobility pieces on their stuff, and Orc Impalers are going here, and then these guys are going to back out, having killed the Gobblebolt. No, that's Impalers. I don't want that. I can take the Direwolf fight with my big guys, though. And the Mistwraiths, those I'm happy to have this fight with. And we can bring our mobility and brutes in there. Shoot the Impalers, and we'll have our Mistwraiths flank. And let's get a cinematic shot here. A lot of these units probably are not staying in my army long term, so I'm not caring that much about casualties. Although, I would like a more resilient cavalry piece, because right now we have our dire wolves and dire raptors, and both of those have really poor armor and low HP, so although they're fast and can get on enemy artillery, they're not doing a good job of surviving. Good healing there, though. We'll take our money, we'll recruit a unit here, and alright, I will take a dire raptor upgrade. Get those a little tougher, maybe. And we'll go ahead and do that. And then I will conscript survivors, because I would take an Orc Impaler unit. Maybe we can get a third one and prestige our Impalers. Or I would take a Gobblebolt, if one of those shows up. The Armored Direwolves, I guess I'll take, because they're a little better than our Direwolf unit. And even if we end up not using them, that's still fine. Oh, I thought that I could go down the middle path here. I wasn't looking at the pathways. So I could go... I wanted to go to this event, but we'll take the question mark. Also, what prestiged? Another one of our kobolds. Okay, well, we got a gear item here. We can get uncommon units gain 8 melee attack. Great for our brutes. And yeah, we have a lot of uncommon units. So yeah, I guess we will take the Shungite. And then on to a Gruntkin city. A look at the garrison here. So it's Stone Gullet Enforcers, Orc Ravagers, a Bogmaw Troll, and a bunch of rabble. I'm not that worried about fighting these guys, but the question is, would I rather just have the healing and the potential to recruit another Impaler unit? Although we didn't get a second one, so we don't really need a third one. I think I'm just going to attack the Gruntkin city here. We get more gold, we get more gear, which we could potentially replace something here. We don't have anything that actually works with the Raven's Eye, so we could sell it. So let's go ahead and fight this garrison. And we'll put you guys in reserve, even though they don't heal when they're in reserve against a city fight. Still, we don't want our injured units in combat right now, I don't think. And then we've got all of our kobolds and our orcs and mistwraiths. No ranged enemies, so rabble, ravagers, rabble. The weakest group of enemies is over on the left here. Also, I have been pretty lazy about hotkeying my units when going into the city fights, but might as well actually do this one properly. So we'll have group 1, we'll have group 2, we'll have group 3, and I'm not going to have my Dire Raptors charge into the gate currently. We'll be taking some casualties on the mistwraiths, but we can always send them to reserve. So mistwraiths are ethereal, which means they can't be slowed by terrain. They also have really high weapon strength and really good melee attack. But you can see that they are pretty squishy. 0 armor, so they're taking 1,000,000 damage from the enemy gate here. But now the enemy gate is down. A classic reference for you. And we'll have our troops shoot all of this stuff. The Bogmaw Trolls. So these, they don't have any form of regeneration. I don't know if regeneration is a thing that units can have in this game. I'll shoot the trolls, though, because they are large and terrifying. And we'll get our Orc Impalers attacking them as well, if possible. Since they're anti-large, our brutes are going to move to the side and kind of flank around, because we've got kind of this... we have a fairly bad setup in the gateway here. And I've used almost all of my ammo. Does look like ranged units get more ammo as they prestige as well, which is pretty nice. But fighting the Stone Gullet Enforcers, the rare enemies, will be a little bit more difficult, given that I don't have any ammo. We'll send our Dire Raptors around. Now that the enemies are a little more injured, we can do that. And then we'll have you spread around the side here. We'll have our Impalers stay behind the Brawlers, because the Brawlers are a little better at tanking. My ranged units and my injured mistwraiths don't really need to get into melee combat here. And we'll shift queue our units around. And one thing I really like about this game is I'm being so lazy with the micro. Like, I'm barely doing any actual micro on my units, and it's still fine, because we can shift queue commands and stuff, and all we really need to do is get our units attacking the right things, because it's more about matchup than it is about animation canceling and micromanagement, more traditional micromanagement. Which is kind of nice, especially as a lightweight, like, arcadey RTS or an intro to the genre. If you're new to RTSs and want to get into them, this is a great way to do it. All right, let's enter the town. 15 gold from looting the city. That's nice. Loot gear. See if we get... Okay, we got a common. Conscripted survivors post-battle are granted full health. I have not been... I don't think that's that important, honestly, so we're just going to go with leave without gear here. I will conscript survivors. And we'll take a Stone Gullet Enforcers. These guys have full health, because I guess the ones that you get from cities have full health. And then we'll go ahead and leave. And then it's on to the next fight here. And it's funny that our other brawler unit still hasn't prestiged. We'll go ahead and put our most damaged units in reserve here. I still have a mobility piece to fight the Siege Claws. That's kind of fun. The Siege Claws and Gobblepolts. Okay, so I would like a second mobility piece. I could put my Dire Wolves in, even though they're a little injured, just because I think we'll take a lot less casualties if I can get 2 units on the enemy artillery. And then they have 2 Dire Rider units, which will probably spawn behind me. But overall, I think that this is going to be a fairly smooth fight. This tooltip just coming directly for me. That loading screen hint. The number of times I've done that. Alright, so these 2, group 3, and we'll have 1 on each flank. Get our ranged in group 2, and our melee in group 1. Kind of nice that we start in a forest. It's going to limit the effectiveness of the enemy artillery as well. Though we want to meet the enemy outside the edge of the forest so that it is not giving missile resistance to our troops. I'm also going to put... I don't have the Impalers in this combat, but let's put our level 1 Kobold behind our ranged units, because the enemy are probably going to be flanking. Yeah, so they did decide to flank with some Dire Riders. Can we dodge the artillery? No, you can't. Okay. Honestly, we might just lose our mobility pieces to the enemy artillery here. Because I have to work them around. No, don't break. Yeah, okay. So those guys broke. These guys should at least be able to kill one of them, but... No, okay, they got tied up in combat and broke as well. So that was kind of bad. So now the enemy have a bunch of artillery pieces still in. I really need more resilient cavalry right now. Also, I've used a lot of my range on attacking... yeah, that matchup is fine. I've used a lot of my ranged weapons on attacking into the forest. So we've got kind of a struggle there. Our Stone Gullet Enforcers can fight that. I'm also, I think, just going to have to run some kobolds to go after the enemy artillery here. Okay, well, this fight was a little harder, in part because I messed it up really badly. So we'll work those guys around the outside. If the artillery are attacking our brutes, that's okay. We've got some bow kobolds embroiled in combat a little bit, and then these guys can get on there. Our brutes are tanking really well, which is nice. These bow kobolds I want to get into the forest, so they'll take less damage from the arty, and then we'll start shooting at the rabble. Alright, well that fight was a disaster, because I messed it up completely, lost all of my mobility. And now we've taken a ton of damage. Also, the enemy still get to attack, the enemy artillery get to attack while my units are fighting them, which is kind of interesting. So, it was still okay, you know, we get to heal 3 of our units. The units that broke came back, so not a big deal. But obviously, just having my mobility pieces get flattened by the enemy artillery like that is not what we want. So I really need to spec into different cavalry units, I think. We'll take the money here. We'll take a rewind potion. We'll go ahead and recruit a unit, and we'll see what we get. The Blood Carnos. Okay, well, this is a pretty nice monster unit. I could also get Red Horns. This is a good infantry unit, I think. Yeah, there's 48 of them. Another Brute, and these Brutes have been really nice. They're heavily shielded. They crush enemies in melee, so I've been really impressed with the Brutes. But I kind of want to get the Blood Carnos, because it's just a huge dinosaur. And, you know, I'm a simple man. And these dire wolves, even silvered, have been terrible. So I'm going to get rid of those, and we'll take the Blood Carnos. And then I will conscript survivors. We might be able to get a Siege Claw, or even the Gobblepult would be nice. Some artillery, I think, would be pretty good for us. Alright, we rolled badly here. Do I want the Orc Ravagers more than I want any individual unit that we have? Not really, I don't think, so I think we're just gonna skip. But we still beat Act 1, we've now goldened 3 Kobold Archers and our Brawler, and then we will still be able to golden 2 more units over the next couple turns. We also have this, look at his face, the Blood Carnos. We have this Tyrannosaur, or maybe Carnotaurus, and we will be able to hopefully have him eat a bunch of stuff. He only has 3,000 health, which is a little concerning. That's very low. I was expecting him to be a little tougher than that, but we'll see how he works in Act 2. And jumping in for Act 2, let's head to the campsite. I could heal, but again, I can just put my units in reserve for that. My kobolds will heal by prestiging. Not these ones, but the lower health ones will. So let's just do prestige or random unit, hoping this doesn't hit a kobold, which obviously it could, but if we hit something like this brute unit, incredible. And then we can go to the next fight. So I still haven't seen a Dracosaur brood village to buy more units. I do probably want to hit one of these 2 shops. So I want to go up the middle, but we can get there from any tile. I don't think that the dice you basically ever want to do. This just lets you spend 5 gold to heal some units or gamble some gold. Which I don't think is that great either. So go ahead and swap our injured troops into reserve. Actually, these guys don't need to be in reserve, and these guys do. So we'll do it this way, because these guys will prestige and heal eventually. And then I'm going to take one of these 2 fights, both rain. This one has a river, so... And then we go to the Iron Legion village or the Iron Legion village. So these 2 sides of the map are basically identical. So I guess let's take the river fight. Slightly more interesting battlefield, maybe. All right, so we're up against, it looks like, the Empire, the Iron Legion. We could get the Eisenman Regiment, which is a pretty nice ranged unit. Hearthbound Knights would be good. I've had those be fairly successful in previous runs as well. We don't really need the Great Swords, but the Kaiser Cannon would also probably be nice. So yeah, we'll definitely take this fight. I also still have my random unit potion. Oh, excuse me. Alright, so this guy has 42 speed compared to 75 on the Dire Wolves, or... Yeah, so this is much more of an infantry piece, the big monster unit, than it is a cavalry piece. So we'll just mix it into our ground troops. It also, because it takes up less space, it's going to make it much easier to trigger the effect where we hit multiple enemies with one... Or hit one enemy with multiple units and get extra attack. Yeah, we can basically just pile all our units into the Great Swords, I think. The Carnos is taking a lot of damage. Now, the advantage of these single target units, like we saw last time, though I do have to back it out here because it's taking too much damage. And I don't want to lose it. The advantage of these single target units is that they do, unless they die... Wow, okay. I thought it was going to get out in time. Yikes. So I need to be more careful with the gunnery, with enemy guns. They do just take your units out completely. They also keep shooting well after they're out of range, is the other thing about enemy guns. And I need to not lose this kobold unit. My brutes can pile back in here, that's fine. We've got the guns in combat, but... Well, goodbye, dinosaur. Rip to a real one. I was not expecting it to just get flattened like that, but I guess it does have very low health. And yeah, we've also got our armored dire wolves, but the Eisenman regiment has armor piercing, so it does take those guys down very quickly. Oh, and our brutes got shattered as well. I didn't even notice those guys having so much trouble. Well, that was a much harder fight than I was expecting. Still, I really just need a more powerful cavalry piece, I think. Yeah, because this thing, it does have 110 armor, but the armor-piercing guns are what got me there. Alright. Well, hopefully we can recover from that mistake. We'll recruit a unit here, and I could get another brute. I could get another infantry piece. I could also get these raptor riders. This has to be... We've been struggling so much to get good cavalry. These guys have 30 armor, and... doesn't actually say... You can't check how much health they have before selecting them. But... They still... They're also an outrider unit, so they go... You can deploy them flanking. And then we'll go conscript survivors. And we did roll the Eisenman regiment, which seems like the sort of automatic take here. Alright, I don't need these armored direwolves. They really are just not very good. We'll take the Eisenman regiment, and then we prestiged our bow kobolds. So our kobold brawlers, we could put in reserve if we need to. But let's go ahead and go into this fight, and we're fighting in the rain. Our large units are a lot worse, but so are their royal cavaliers. Alright, well this is, we're hoping we roll those. No ranged units on the enemies, so we're not going to lose our dinosaurs in one tap. Let's go ahead and move our damaged units into reserve. And these kobolds, we're guaranteed to prestige them, so they're going to get all their models back, as long as I don't lose them all. Also have just 4 gold archer units, which has to be pretty good. And we'll have the gunnery unit as well. Alright, I didn't bring any of my anti-large stuff into this fight, but I don't think we should need it. We've got some mobility pieces here, and then... There we go. And then just our gold archers. I'm also gonna hide these brawlers behind, and I think these ones as well, just in case the enemy flanks. Yeah, nothing flanking us, so that's fine. And then we'll have our ranged units move out here. The large enemies are going to be at half speed with no charge bonus, and so are our large units as well. So basically, I just want to kind of run the enemy mobility around in circles if possible. These guys can get in on the flank of one of these fights, probably. We're going to shoot these great swords. These brawlers are going to get in on the Royal Cavaliers, just to stop them from getting on my archers. My mobility is going to sandwich the Hearthbound Knights. We will take some damage on these brawlers, but they're going to prestige and gain all their models back. My missed rates are definitely getting the worst of it here. You know, flank out those guys, and we'll have our scale bows. Probably not get into the fight against the anti-infantry enemies. But I wanted to try to break the Cavalier morale here. Our Mistwraiths are definitely getting a little flattened currently. So let's try to get our mobility in here, and then as soon as we break this unit, our Brutes can get in this side, and then we can back out the Mistwraiths. These guys are leaving our army at some point pretty soon anyways, so I don't mind taking casualties on them. And then we'll basically just pile everything in here to try to finish off the enemies quickly. And we broke their morale, lost some units on our infantry, but that's okay. Still tilted by throwing away that dinosaur. He was so cool. And so happy. Alright, let's recruit a unit here. Ooh, we got our first option for a different type of archer. I could also get another Raptor Rider unit, and we could maybe try to prestige that. The archers here have 60 range, 10 missile strength, so that's compared to 65 range on the gold tier kobolds. I could also get another brute unit. I mean, the brutes have just been really strong. These guys have just been great. I don't really need another ranged unit because we have 4 archers and the Eisenman regiment, and we're hopefully going to get more copies of that as well. I think I will delete my Mistwraiths, and then I'm going to pick up probably just another Raptor Rider unit, and maybe I can get another of those, and then we can conscript, and we'll see what we get here. A Royal Cavalier unit I'm pretty happy with. What do I want to get rid of? I think these Dire Raptors have kind of reached the end of their lifespan in this army. Yes, they do double damage. The Blood Frenzy is really powerful, but their health is just so poor. Health and armor is just so poor that they have been kind of a liability trying to actually make them work. And then we prestiged and got all our health back as predicted. And then we're going to this town. Now, we can only recruit level 1... yeah, we can only recruit level 1 stuff at the village, I believe. Or we can fight the garrison here, which of course is an easy fight win. We get a piece of gear, and we get a little bit of gold. So I think we'll probably just go ahead and do that. And I don't need my cavalry in this fight, so we'll just move it all out of the combat. But I can also get a couple models back on my kobold infantry. And then in we go. Oh, whoops. I meant to move that the Royal Cav unit out. Now it doesn't matter because it doesn't matter that much because it won't heal. Since this is a city fight and our reserves don't heal. But I meant to have it not in this combat, and we'll just leave it at the back here. Perfect, they're shooting this brawler unit, which is exactly what we want to take casualties on, since it's guaranteed to prestige and get all of these models back. So the Royal Cavaliers are shielded, armored, large, and stalwart, and they have 2,800 health at full health, because right now they're at half. I think I'm happy just sending my brutes into the pikemen. We're just gonna kill them with our archers anyways. The Eisenman regiment doing what it did to us, but to the enemy now. It is so cool. One of the things I really like about this game is that you get to like mix and match the different pieces from different armies. Just always fun to be able to do that in a game. Yeah, they're currently shooting our heavily shielded brutes, which take only 30% damage from missile attacks, so that will not avail them much. Now I'm going to move these guys out of the way and just have my ranged units take that guy out. Assuming that my units follow my command there. This game does seem to sometimes drop unit orders, but we should be able to just watch them We got a victory there, right in the middle. That was funny. All right, and then enter town, loot gold, loot gear, and let's see what we've got here. An uncommon armor-piercing units gain plus 10 melee attack. So, do I have any melee armor-piercing units? We have the Iceman Regiment, giving them extra melee attack. Hopefully won't matter. Stone Gullet Enforcers do, and the Raven's Eye is working on my Iceman Regiment, giving them 20 more accuracy. I think I will skip the Well-Honed Axes. Uncommon units gain 8 melee attack is better, because we still have a couple of those in our fight, so we'll leave without gear here. And I'll click the Conscript Survivors button, but we're definitely not taking anything, because the level 1 Iron Legion units we just don't want. Then we'll head to this event. So on this difficulty, I can no longer modify die rolls. But I do have a reroll. We have the rewind potion. So let's still demand payment up front. Because on fail, we still get gold. On the other hand, this gives us a unit, and I don't really need gold, so let's actually just do the 8+, because we're fairly likely to succeed, and hey, we got a 10. Oh. Well, the difficulty thing said I could no longer modify rules in events, but it seems like we still can, unless it lets you do this UI and then doesn't work. So I wonder if this is just bugged and not working correctly. Anyways, let's go ahead and accept. I could recruit a Dire Raptor unit, but I don't actually want a Dire Raptor unit. We just disbanded ours, so we'll just go on to the next area. We've also goldened all our kobolds, and we're off to the store. So at the store, we should be able to get our signature unit. We can get a rare unit. Instantly gains 5 gold. That's funny. Rerolls the last dice roll. Well, let's go ahead and sell this, buy this, and then drink it for 5 gold. And then we're gold positive on that. And then I can pick up the signature unit pack. And we get the obsidian scales. These are armor piercing. So that would have maybe given me units healed 25%. Oh, after each chapter. So not after each tile, not after each step. What do I want to get rid of? So currently our gold kobold brawlers have 60, 52, and 26 weapon strength. Our impalers have slightly more weapon strength, but much worse stats, but they also have anti-large. Stone Gullet Enforcers have much worse stats, but are much more heavily armored and are terrifying as well. So I think I don't need the anti-large impalers. Getting them on the right enemy is going to be fairly tough. So let's take the obsidian scales here. And then I could buy an uncommon pack as well to try to combine my raptor riders, but I feel like we'll have the option to do that. So let's save the rest of our money, or do I just buy a rare unit? Because I could get another dinosaur of some kind here. I think I'm going to save the rest of my money. I'm going to try to get another obsidian scale, and maybe even get a silver version of this one. And we'll go ahead and go to the next node. Every time you purchase a signature unit pack, its price will increase by 5 gold for the remainder of the run. Okay. So here I could heal. I could also bet. I really don't think that these Tavern games tables are good. I don't know what the betting odds are, if it's just a straight 50% roll or anything like that. But I guess I'll just heal my units here for 5. But I think that that's usually going to be a wasted tile. So the Raven Host, that's the Viking units, and Deepstone Hold, that's the Dwarf units. I won't have enough money to buy another signature unit pack if I go to the shop, though. So I guess let's go to the Raven Host city. I could fight Garrison I could also just enter town. We don't really need the gear. The gold would be nice. I think I'm just going to enter town and heal. And I'm not going to spend anything recruiting. In part, this is just a real lifetime consideration. If we fight every single... Oh, there's a Dracosaur Brood City. I could have gone that way. If we fight every single town, this run's just going to take a long time. Alright, Imperial Templars and another Eisenman regiment, so I definitely would love to be able to recruit those guys. Let's see, what needs to sit in reserve? Our Cavaliers kind of do. Our Raptor Riders, I would like in the fight. So maybe I sit one Kobold out, so that I can get both Raptor Riders in the fight and they can get on top of the Eisenman regiment. And then if these two Raptor Riders just get killed by the one gunnery unit, then we know that those are not worth keeping in our army either. So let's go with this setup. Feels weird benching two of our gold Kobold units. I will say this guy's campaign bonus seems absurdly strong. Just wildly more powerful than most other things. So I want them to start kind of on the side here, because I don't want the enemy cavalry charging them right away. I'm going to distract the enemies first. Alright, group 1, straight up the middle. Group 2, straight up the middle behind them. And then we'll have you guys come in on the Eisenman regiment. Ideally, we'll have the enemy Hearthbound Knights moving up. Shoot the great swords here. So I don't have any anti-large shooting or anything. Okay, so my Raptor Riders, my pair of Raptor Rider units got on the Eisenman regiment there and has done good damage and taken no casualties. So they're not just like losing in melee combat, which is what I was kind of worried would happen. Also, these brutes are really nice units. They have a lot of armor. They have a lot of health per model. So I've found them to be very effective. The Obsidian Scales, following the trend of the legendary infantry units being not that exciting currently. One downside of my gold Kobold Archer Corps is that they just have really low armor. So even though these guys are goldened, or really low ammo, excuse me. Even though these guys are goldened, I may cut one or two of them if we get better ranged units available. Alright, so the Raptor Riders did very well because they were able to deploy in a better location, so the enemy couldn't just shoot them right from the start, and I microed them a little better, not letting the enemy charge them. Obviously, some of this type of game is learning the enemy AI and what you can do. Alchemist Potion, instantly gain 5 gold. Alright, well, we'll just use that right away. And we will recruit a unit here. Do I want to prestige my Raptor Rider, or do I want to keep more? I guess I'll just prestige it. And then... No! I was really hoping to get another Eisenman regiment. Do I want the Imperial Templars? The Hearthbound Knights are also cavalry, but we have one Outrider Cavalry and one non-Outrider Cavalry, so I'm okay with that. I guess I'll take the Templars. I think that's fine. It's never bad to have a shielded infantry, just to clog up enemy movement. And then... don't need to take the city, so... and I don't like the Tavern games, so let's just go here. Ranged units gain anti-large. I do think that the turkey is broken. I think that this is a ridiculously powerful gear item. Would I sell one of the ones that I have for it? Honestly, probably. Shielded units are now invulnerable to ranged attacks from the front. And and first consumable of the shop is free. This I don't really care about. Buckler Shields is pretty cool as well. We have currently only we have 2 shielded units. Making them completely invulnerable to ranged attacks from the front is pretty cool. I don't know how good it is. I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to... I could sell the Shungite, but it does reduce the melee attack of 2 of my units. I think I would rather do that. We'll sell this and we'll take the turkey, because ranged units having anti-large is just so good. And then we'll go here. Okay, well, hopefully we get a chance to get a second Eisenman Regiment unit. I would have liked to get 3, so we could potentially combine them. Put our Templars in reserve. Anything else need to heal? Nothing else needs to heal. I have my 1 Raptor Rider unit and my Royal Cavaliers, and those are going to be going against the 2 enemy cavalry. I mean, we've got all our mobility in, so I guess this is just our best option. And I probably will cut one of the scale bows as well. Maybe even all of them eventually if we get good ranged unit options. Alright, we deploy second, so I will put this guy over here, this guy over here. And then we've got our infantry pieces in group 1. And our ranged pieces in group 2. It is raining, so our ranged units our large units are going to be suffering, I think. Yeah, alright. Well, that's definitely rough, because it's going to give them a lot of time to shoot my guys. Because our large units are moving so slowly. But I'm just going to have my Obsidian Scales charge the enemy range. And then the Raptor Riders should still make it in there. I think we'll have these guys get in on the polearms, and our ranged units are going to start shooting the polearm unit. Obsidian Scales need to get into the ranged enemies. The Obsidian Scales are continuing to just get annihilated by the Eisenman Regiment. These are... No, okay, they're not shielded, that's why. I thought they were shielded units that were just getting squashed. Let's have my range fight them. Yeah, the rain is messing us up. So I'm going to lose my Raptor Rider unit here completely. I need lower leadership on my units, actually. But every time you fight one of these enemy gun units, you just lose a unit. It's very hard to avoid that, I think. And I've got these brawlers, which are reduced to 10. Alright, well, we lost our Raptor Rider, but, I mean, we fought a powerful ranged enemy in the rain, which was always going to be very difficult, since it made all of our large units significantly worse. We'll take the money here. Sure, we'll take another 5 gold. We will recruit a unit here. I could get another Raptor Rider. I could get a Venom Tail Archer, or I could get a shielded infantry. So the Venom Tail Archer would have longer... No, it has the same amount of range. It does have more ammo. It doesn't, even though it's called a Venom Tail, it doesn't have any, like, poisoning effect or anything. So I think it is still just a little, like, about on par with the Scalebow Kobolds. The Red Horns, as I said, never bad to just have a powerful armored and shielded infantry piece. So we could take that. I don't think I really need any of these that badly. But I guess I'll take a Raptor Rider in case we want to build that up. And then we'll see what we get here. Nice. We were offered the Eisenman Regiment, which we're definitely going to take. Now, do I want to just get rid of a Kobold unit for it? Or do I want to get rid of my Raptor Riders? I think having the Riders is still useful, even though they were garbage in that last fight. And I don't think we need 4 kobolds, so I will take the Eisenman Regiment here, and then we'll go into the last combat, and hopefully we get another Eisenman Regiment. Black Eagle Halberdiers, anti-large, armored, and stalwart. Oh, and we're in rain again. And the Deepwood Rangers, armor-piercing, outrider, forest dweller. 1,200 ammo as well on these guys, so they never have to stop shooting. And then just a bunch of knights. The knights I don't care about, but again, the challenge is just going to be the enemy ranged units. So let's put my ranged units in. Nope. My ranged units in. The fact that you have to do it in this order is very tilting. And we'll leave these guys in reserve. And then we'll go ahead and fight battle. So this is what I need some artillery for, is to be able to shoot down the enemy gunners while it's raining. Okay, deploy second. So the Deepwood Rangers are going to show up behind us. I'm probably just going to keep my mobility to attack them. So I'm going to have these guys at the back here. And then we probably are just going to take up a straight up brawl in the front with all of our range shooting their range. Because I don't care about the enemy cavalry since it's raining.
None shall survive. We are in peril. We will crush them.
So we're going to lose some units from the Eisenman Regiment. I'm going to move these guys actually to try to avoid losing too many of them. And then we'll have our ranged units attack there. The Royal Cavaliers, and we are going to lose a bunch of Raptor Riders as we go into this fight. That's just inevitable. Black Eagle Halberdiers are fighting the Templars. That's fine. Royal Cavaliers can fight my Brutes. But my Stone Gullet Enforcers are getting kind of wrecked, but I think that was just because the Eisenman Regiment was shooting them. And my Kobold Brawlers got broken there, which is fine. Well, we need to kill the enemy ranged units, and then we should be able to just win the straight-up fight here. Okay, my Raptor Riders are doing badly, but my Cavaliers should win the fight against the Deepwood Rangers here. My Brutes in sustained combat should beat the enemy Cavaliers. And then once we've taken out this Eisenman Regiment with our range, we should be able to just clean up this fight. I'm going to shoot the Royal Cav, I think, and we'll get our scale bows over here. Still battling away against the Deepwood Rangers. These guys are going to run in for this flanking charge, and then we've got our Eisenman Regiment on the Halberdiers. And then we'll just have to move our mobility pieces away from this, because they're not exactly mobility pieces right now. They're embarrassment pieces because of the rain. But the Hearthbound Knights we should be able to take out. And we'll kite backwards, and we'll shoot. Try to use up all the ammo on our Eisenman Regiment. The nice thing is, even though we took a bunch of damage on these, we didn't actually lose a model. They just start with 48. Yeah, look at... I guess we have anti-large on our range as well, so that's part of why we're melting them so fast. But I mean, just look at this. It's ranged units, I think, are maybe a little too good in this game right now. Backing these guys out, and we'll take the last couple shots. I just don't want them in melee. And then in the meantime, we'll try to break all these units. Try to break the Hearthbound Knights without losing any more models there. And there we go. Alright, so fairly clean end of act fight, especially given that we were fighting in the range. And the Dracosaur brood with all its large units does kind of suffer in that case. But not a bad fight. We healed up a bunch of our damaged units. Now we have 2 Eisenman regiments. And let's see what we got. So we got Claim Bounty. I'm going to recruit a unit here. Okay, so we could get the Stegoplate Guard. This is 36 units, so it's an infantry unit, an infantry anti-large unit with armored. Really armored, but not shielded. We could get a black dragon and have it gunned down again. It is armor-piercing, armored, large, terrifying, and gives us money. Or the Tricera platform, which is an armor-piercing artillery piece. Pretty good overall, I think, but I think we'll take the black dragon here. And I'm going to get rid of the Stone Gullet Enforcers. I don't really need an unshielded infantry. We just have the Kobold Brawlers doing that already. And we'll take the Black Dragon here. And then I'm going to go Conscript Survivors. See what we get here. And we did get a third Eisenman Regiment. So the question is, do I actually want to combine these? Or do I want to just have 3 of them? Because honestly, these gunnery units, the Eisenman Regiment and the Arquebusiers from the Sakura Dynasty faction, seem wildly overpowered right now, so maybe just having 3 of them is the best option. And then what would I get rid of? I could get rid of one of my Brawler units. I could get rid of my Raptor Rider unit. I could get rid of... Yeah, I mean, I think those are kind of our weak links. I guess I'll just combine just because it works out better for unit slots. But it's very possible that that in this sort of position, you're just supposed to keep 3 guns, because you can prestige them as well by hitting them at a campfire. If you get the random roll onto them at a campfire, then you can prestige your guns. So it's very possible it's just better to have multiple of these since they're so powerful. I assume that these will receive a little bit of a nerf in balancing. All right, we're on to Act 3. And we're back for Act 3. I took a pretty substantial break, so just reminding myself what we have. We have anti-large ranged units, better shooting on our uncommon and rare ranged units, including this leveled up gunnery unit. And our common units have slightly increased melee attack and melee defense, and we have a pretty good setup here. Let's go to the campsite. I think we're just going to go ahead and prestige a random unit. We've already upgraded all our kobolds, so we don't really need to worry about the prestige hitting one of them at random. So let's see what we got. Okay, the upgraded Royal Cavaliers, that's gotta be great. This has been a consistent pain point for this run, is not having strong cavalry. So having an upgraded rare tier cav unit has to be really good. We do have 2 fog fights, so that's going to make our range units a lot worse. I think I'll probably take a decent amount of damage, so do I actually want to pass towards the spend 5 gold and heal my units area? We also... Okay, we do have access to 1 shop in this act, so if I want to spend my gold, I need to do that. Oh, I can also use my unit in a bottle, which I've just been holding this entire run. You know what, let's use that, see what we got. Okay, we got a Kobold Brawlers. Okay. Well, the unit in a bottle, not particularly exciting. I don't know if you are more likely to get higher rarity units or something in later acts or anything like that. But let's go to the right here, because we can choose between the 2 nodes, so we can always make the decision later. We have the Bulwark, so we're up against the Dwarves in this one. The Bulwark infantry have pretty amazing melee defense of 40 and 65 armor, so they are tough, this rare gunnery unit. And the Thunderhoof Chargers are slow, but also pretty dangerous in combat. Let's go ahead and we'll move our weakest units out and heal them up if possible, but I guess I'll leave the Obsidian Scales in. The Kobold Brawlers will get upgraded, or I might end up cutting them. We've, I think, already cut one. And let's go ahead and take this combat. I'm going to leave my ranged units in, even with the reduction. I think that ranged units are just so powerful in this game that we probably still want them anyways, even though we're fighting in the fog. Maybe at higher difficulties, it'll matter more to vary up your unit composition based on the terrain effects and everything, and that's something that I should certainly be keeping an eye on as to whether that's an important thing to be doing. Alright. We've got our first group here. We have our Cavaliers. Now, if I slam them into the enemy range units, these bulwarks, I think it's actually not going to be great. But I can probably have them kill the crackshot crossbows. So I'll have them deploy over here. And then our ranged units, because they're prestiged, did get enough range that we should still be able to do some damage. Let's go ahead and move our units up. And then, okay, so there's a bulwark, crossbows. So I want to have my Cavaliers attack the crossbows. Gonna have our brutes run into the helm wall defenders, and we'll start shooting these guys. Oh no, they're heavily shielded. Those are shielded. Yeah, the bulwark, we really can't fight efficiently. But let's pile our units in here. Our Obsidian Scales and our Kobold Brawlers are going to go against the Bulwark units, and then we'll have these guys here. Our Brutes are still doing well. Okay, I need to run my Eisenman Regiment away. I kind of left them exposed to the enemy cavalry. Although the enemy cav seems to be doing some weird looping effect. Now, the Thunderhoof Chargers, we do have anti-large. Let's have these guys go against the Bulwark. Why are... okay, they went into melee combat. That's what happened. I was trying to figure out what was going on there. Our Kobold Brawlers broke. We can send our Dragon in against the Bulwark. It's armor-piercing and terrifying, so it should be able to break them. And then we'll have these guys loop in around here. Trying not to lose too many of our Eisenman Regiment. And we'll have our... or rather, these are our Scale Claws. Need to have my range units shoot the enemy large units. Meanwhile, our Brutes are really just doing incredible work out here. Yeah, so even... I think we could have probably, with the fog, just cut at least our Scale Claws. The Eisenman Regiment is still just doing incredibly well. I also should be trying to tank more damage on my Dragon, because the Dragon will heal up to full, as long as it doesn't lose models. So let's get all of this stuff in, and then we'll just collapse all our units on the Bulwark here. Also managed to lose no Royal Cav units, which is great. And with the terrifying effect of the Brutes and the Dragon... yeah, the Bulwark aren't stalwart, so they aren't immune to terror, and they did get taken out there. That was weirdly laggy at the end of the battle here. Alright, let's claim our rewards, and we'll take our money, we'll recruit a unit. Ooh, okay, well we got a purple unit, so we could get a Blood Carnos to replace the one that I threw away. Now, this Kobold will get prestiged. Do I actually want a third Kobold Brawler, even if it's gold? I guess I do. I think the Raptor Riders I just have not been impressed by. So I'm going to take the Blood Carnos. And if this ends up being garbage, then so be it. And then we're going to conscript Survivors. I probably conscript Survivors more than I should, but it's just so fun. The Bulwark is definitely a solid line piece, and it's probably better, the level 1 Bulwark, even than a gold Kobold Brawler, is it? 36 models compared to 48. Weapon strength is better, but the melee defense and melee attack are just so much lower. I think I'm gonna skip here. Probably if I was removing something, it would be the Blood Carnos, which, as long as we don't get that annihilated by an armor-piercing enemy again, I think will still be a useful piece. So we'll take that. I don't need to heal, and I don't want to bet my money, because we don't need more money. So we'll go here, and we'll go to the campfire, which is great. All right, we'll prestige. Hopefully it doesn't hit the Brawler, because then we would be wasting this prestige, but it hit the Imperial Templars. Great. Very happy to get another upgraded infantry unit here. Deepstone Hold, I could heal and maybe hire something. I could also just head to the fight. Is there a Dracosaur brood city anywhere here? I do think the game should guarantee like one city of your faction on the map, so that you can actually recruit stuff from your faction. So I could take this fight. I could also just go to the village. Let's just go to the village for time reasons. And we'll go ahead and heal. And then we'll go ahead and take this fight. No terrain effects here. We have double bulwark and a thunder and double thunderhoof chargers, and then a bunch of shielded infantry. So pretty easy fight here, I think. I'll keep my cav in. The obsidian scales I've been, again, highly unimpressed with, but let's go ahead and put our gold brawler in. Do I want my blood Carnos? I think I like this setup better. Although these are very heavily armored enemies, so maybe I can swap one infantry out for the blood Carnos. Because I wouldn't mind another armor-piercing unit. If it's gonna be good, it's gonna be good in this fight. So, but the obsidian scales are also armor-piercing. I think I like this setup the most currently. The monsters are kind of hard to use just because it feels like you want your melee units to have wide coverage so that they can actually block what the enemies are doing. And then we'll do group 2 and group 3.
At your service.
Possible I could have just left the Cavaliers out.
At the ready.
We'll advance our troops here. The Thunderhoof Chargers are large, so we want our guns to be focusing on those, of course.
None shall survive. Let's do this.
And these guys are shielded and armored. So they are gonna charge the bulwark at some point. Or I can use them to kite the Thunderhoofs around. See, those guys we're fine to fight. Yeah, we're fine to take all these fights, I think.
A good day to die.
And then we'll split our ranged fire here just to make sure we're killing the large enemies. Alright, our black dragon is taking too much damage, so I need to get it out of range before it too just drops. Yeah. Enemy,
Yes. Taste my steel. Affirmative. Let's do this.
enemy guns are so brutal. Sorry, I kind of lost track of what I was talking about there because we just had such a disastrous fight. The obsidian scales are actually getting wrecked also by enemy fire. Our Royal Cav need to get on the bulwark. Our Scalebow Kobolds, I'm just going to shove into melee. Our Brutes, and we can send the Templars here. The Brutes can keep fighting. Kobolds and Kobolds fighting the Thunderhoof Chargers, and we've got those guys shooting. These guys can shoot the Chargers because they're anti-large, and these guys we need to force path
Let's give him hell.
into the enemy range. Kobolds can flank. And my obsidian scales can now get in on the Helmwall defenders. Eisenman Regiment can attack, and these guys are in melee. You can see they've got like 1 or 2 units just on the side here, stuck in melee. We'll have our brawlers get in there. And we'll flank all this stuff out. The advantage that we do have is that our units are getting the buff from having multiple units attack the enemy. And so we've got fairly substantial damage just from that. I'm going to have my brawlers go there and pull my cav out. We used all our ammo, but that was a tough fight. Enemy guns remain really dangerous. But at least our black dragon survived. And because it survived, it did also just heal up. Alright, let's go ahead and recruit a unit here, and we'll see what we got. I think I do want another brute unit. I feel bad removing a kobold unit, a ranged kobold unit, but their ammo count is such a pain that maybe I still, even though they're not golden, just want the Venom Tail Archer, and I think I am going to actually do that. And we'll conscript. Alright, do I want a bulwark instead of, say, one of my scale bows, or instead of my obsidian scales? I mean, they do fill basically the same function, and the obsidian scales have been terrible. The legendary units in this game seem consistently disappointing, though I am just kind of throwing them into enemies. I think I'm again going to skip here, because we'll golden a kobold unit, and I think I would rather have 3 gold of those than a bulwark. Although, we might be able to get a silver bulwark if I just disband here. So let's give that a go. And we'll take the money, of course. Then we'll go to the question mark area, because we're fighting a lot more dwarves. Alright, so I could get a signature unit pack and get another obsidian scales. We can also get the lamb sauce, which would give me an obsidian scales. And an alchemist potion, which is just +1 gold. I don't really have anything I can sell here to get another obsidian scale unit, but if I buy this, we can probably get to 127 gold and upgrade our obsidian scales later on. So let's go ahead and buy this and then just move on.
Goodbye.
Rain is bad for our large units, so we'll probably cut the Black Dragon for this fight. Enemies have a Bulwark and a Glyphstone Phalanx, so that's a spear unit, armored, stalwart, anti-large, heavily shielded, and another one, 2 Thunderhoof Chargers. Okay, so we're obviously going to have you rest, and I'll have these guys rest as well. I can't get rid of all of my large units if I want to rest my 3 damaged units, so we will be taking this fight with some large units in the rain. That seems okay. Basically, these guys are just going to be grouped in the middle here. So they have the Crag Flayers, which are Outriders with throwing axes. And they've got Drakefire Riflers and the Bulwark. So I want to get some shielded units. I want to get my Brutes, I think. Oh, these guys are slowed because of the rain. So let's get our Imperial Templars to kind of flank out. And because they're shielded, we can maybe get them on the enemy range. And then we'll try to soak with our kobolds and our other more expendable or shielded units. So I'm going to do you guys in group 1, and then I'll put my 2 large units in group 3 here, and they can sit at the back. And we'll either have them wade into the fight once the enemy range is dealt with, or we'll just have them collapse on the enemy mobility pieces. Mobility in quotes, of course, because of the rain. Alright, so these guys have throwing axes, which do large damage, but my units should be able to get them here fairly easily. And then we'll have them come around the side, stoking some damage on the Blood Carnos and the Black Dragon. And then we'll pile our... Oh, I hate how it swaps your unit order. I think it's based on the order that they are in the selection screen. But when you move a unit, it should lock their formation. Alright, those guys all have shields, but the Drakefire Riflers don't have shields. And then we can get you into the Bulwark. So because the Drakefire Riflers don't have shields, we can shoot those guys down, and we can have our shielded units charge at the Bulwark. Our Kobold Brawlers are soaking a lot of damage here. That's fine. Our archer units, Venom Tail, and Eisenman Regiment can shoot the enemy large units. We'll have our Kobold Brawlers go there. Our other Brawlers broke, but we should be able to get our 2 monstrous units in, and we'll just soak with the Kobolds here. The Glyphstone Phalanx, they do have anti-large, so they're going to be kind of tough for our monsters. But I think we should, if things start getting pretty scary, we should be able to pull them out in time. And then we'll have these 2 units actually shoot the large enemies. Our Imperial Templars, our Silver Imperial Templars, a rare infantry unit, is just getting stomped by the Bulwark here. So let's actually have our monsters get in before we lose every Imperial Templar. Maybe I needed to pick up the Bulwark. Alright, we're going to lose the Blood Carnos again because it's stuck, it's getting shot, and it's refusing to move. Send our Templars to flank, keep doing some shooting. And then we've got our Black Dragon, which I need to move here. So let's see if we can path it out, because it was stuck in all the enemy units there. And then we've kind of got those guys flanked out. Our Eisenman Regiment did all of its damage. Our Brutes finally worked their way through the Bulwark. But our Imperial Templars got absolutely hammered there, which I was not expecting. And then we have the Glyphstone Phalanx, which is... Yeah, these guys are really nice. A spear, armored, shielded, stalwart unit. I feel like this is a very strong piece. It's just very good at blocking enemy attacks. Fortunately, taking damage on the Blood Carnos doesn't matter. It's going to heal to full. And let's go ahead and claim bounty, recruit a unit here. Yeah, I really do think that my Venom Tail... I should probably just take the Venom Tail Archers even over the gold Shadow Kobolds. Or do I just want more Brutes? I mean, the Brutes have been so good. Maybe I'll just cut the Imperial Templars for more Brutes. Because we're also more likely to be able to upgrade those. And then we could I could have had 3 Bulwarks, but we do have 2 now. And do I want to get rid of the Obsidian Scales? I am going to be able to silver them at some point. So let's get rid of a Kobold Brawler unit and pick up another Bulwark. And then if I get 1 more, we can upgrade those. So I do want to take a fight here in order to try to pick up 1 more Bulwark unit. And we do see 2 Bulwarks, a Glyphstone Phalanx. No, 3 Bulwarks. Okay. Well, we're fairly likely to be able to silver our Bulwarks after this fight. Now, in this fight, it's clear skies on the plains, so I can use both of my Dinosaurs. I could also swap out the Blood Carnos, because it just took so much damage, and then we'll heal these 2 damaged units. I could also try to heal either of these units, maybe the Venom Tail Archers. There's very few large enemies, so I think I'm going to cut the Venom Tail, or there's no large enemies. We want our cavalry in because there's the artillery, and alright, this seems like a good setup for this fight. And then hopefully we get to roll a Bulwark after this fight and can silver our Bulwark. Since, again, we've seen just how effective powder units are in this game. Every time we fight them, it's just a disaster. Now, the Bulwark do have very short range, but they're so tough. I could put them up in the front line as well. Maybe it's better because they're shielded, so if the enemy Bulwarks are shooting them, that's fine. So, yeah, let's have these guys be group 1, and we'll have the bulwark in the front line also. Probably actually on the flank where we can maybe get behind the enemy shields. And, alright, let's do it this way. So, you're going to loop around and hit the Grimfire guns. Everybody else is moving up. I want a way to lock formation. In Warhammer Total War, you can lock your formation in a certain orientation. Alright, our Black Dragon got hit by the Grimfire gun artillery piece and is getting kind of annihilated again. So what doesn't have shielding? The Drakefire Riflers don't have shielding. And then we'll have our Brutes move in, our Bulwark move in. We're going to lose some Royal Cavaliers, but I have to kill the enemy artillery. And at least artillery dies fast when you get a unit onto it. And I need to get these out of range of multiple bulwarks. We'll have our Black Dragon soak in as well. I don't think these guys are... Okay, it won't let me put them... It's not letting me draw their orientation. There we go. The Bulwark are kind of flanking, so the shields should be okay. I'm happy to have those guys attack the Kobold Brawlers. And our Bulwark can get a flanking charge. We'll have our Karnos get in there. Just trying to keep an eye on what I'm taking damage on. Currently, it's my Cavalry, but those can get out. Our Brutes can now get in to melee. And we'll have the rest of our units just shooting. Shoot the Glyphstone Phalanx. Our Black Dragon... Oh, it just got stabbed to death. The enemy have so many hard counters to what we're doing. So I need to move my Brute unit, because the enemy anti-large units got me there. And we'll send some infantry in, I think, against the Glyphstone Phalanx, and then we'll reflank with the Brutes. We've got our Karnos fighting the Bulwark. I think also sometimes when you get into melee with one of these ranged units that also is good in melee, it still gets to shoot, which is part of the challenge that we're having. Fortunately, the Blood Karnos at least ate that. Are we doing any damage shooting here? We're trying to shoot the Glyphstone Phalanx in the back, so that they're not getting the benefits of the shielding. And we did get that. All right, now the flanking shooting is working. I think it wasn't before. We just weren't on a steep enough angle to them. So once I kill the enemy anti-large, we can get our Brutes back in and our Karnos back in. I will say I'm really enjoying how much more difficult the fights are on this difficulty setting. And we're just trying to kite out here, and we'll try to take our shots. And we're trying to hit the Glyphstone Phalanx. That's the anti-large enemies. Also, we're kiting them around in circles, which is running them out of stamina. Having to do a little bit more maneuvering because of how some of that went down. I do think I basically... I don't know. I love the monster units. They seem very cool, of course. But the challenge with the monster units is just that they're not that effective. So the Cavaliers, I don't want those fighting. The Brute can fight. I'm going to have the Karnos attack the Bulwark here, and our Bulwark is trying to get in. Basically, I just don't want the enemies attacking... I don't want the enemy Glyphstone Phalanx attacking our large units. And I don't really want to throw my ranged units into combat. I can bring my Cavaliers back in here. Meanwhile, our Bulwark is just throwing out its attacks, which is funny. Alright, and now we can get everybody to pile in. because the enemies got into melee with us, and we should be able to shatter their morale quickly, the Glyphstone Phalanx. Probably going to take a little more damage on the brutes, but now we were able to get a good surround. Have to back my cavalry out because they've taken a lot of damage. They're down to 300 health, so they're starting to get pretty picked apart. Same with our brutes. The Grimazul Ancients still doing a lot of damage here. Oh yeah, I could have them in defensive stance. Gives them more melee defense. Alright, so there we go. We've defeated that enemy. That was a tough fight, I have to say. I lost my dragon. I took pretty substantial casualties on all of my units here. Let's go ahead and conscript survivors, and we'll pick up a bulwark, and then I can combine it to a silver bulwark. And I could get the red horns. I could get another Venomtail Archer unit. I'll probably just get another Venomtail Archer unit. We'll prestige and get a Venomtail. And then I can maybe prestige that as well. Then I'm going to go here. And we'll go ahead and train again. I think train is fine, because I'm going to go to... Oh, did I miss the shop? I guess I did, so I'm not going to be able to spend my money. Because I could also rest and have some more health going into the last fight. That might be better, so I'm going to do rest here. And then I can't go to this question mark. But this way we'll be able to rest before the last fight as well and be basically at full health. Alright, that is a lot of bulwarks, and as we saw, those are very scary. So what do I want in against this many shielded enemies? I want to cut my damage units and have them heal. But I probably do need 10 units in the fight. I've got some shielded units, I have some ranged units, which are going to be tough against the heavily shielded enemies. So we're probably going to have to try to set up an actual like RTS concave battle here. A little more micro is going to be required for this one to avoid taking heavy casualties, I think. Basically, I'm going to need my ranged units to be kind of split. So what we're going to do is we're going to have our bulwark in the front and our Eisenman regiment on the side. Okay, sometimes it doesn't let you change the orientation of the units, which is kind of annoying. I want to put them tilted like so. But when I'm clicking and dragging, it wasn't letting me change that. Obsidian scales I want on the flank. My brutes I want in the middle. So these guys are going to be group 1, along with the bulwark is also going to be a group 1 unit. And I guess our Kobold Brawlers. I don't really mind if the Kobold Brawlers get shot a lot. But basically, I want to set up my ranged units in a heavy concave so that we can get behind the enemy shielded units. Although, again, it's not letting me turn them. And then our Karnos is going to sit in the rear along with our Obsidian Scales. And these two are going to take on the enemy flanker. So, firstly, defeat the enemy flanker. Then we've got these guys kind of moving up. We've got these guys moving in to form a concave. Because with 5 bulwarks, we need to be... Oh, these don't have shielding. Okay. I've been thinking that the... No, they do have shielding, which... It just wasn't updating. I guess I was looking at something else. Yeah, so they definitely have shielding. And with 5 bulwarks, we need to be fighting them from behind the shielding. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to do any damage to them. So we'll try to absorb enemy shooting on our shields. And our brutes are going to get in. Our bulwark is going to shoot. Our Kobold Brawlers will break and shatter pretty quickly. And then these guys can start shooting. These guys can move to flank. Our brutes are struggling here, but that's okay. Venom Tails can shoot there. We'll have our obsidian scales. Our obsidian scales go after the glyphstone phalanx. So yeah, I've gotten my guys in behind here. Now this brute unit is also getting shot in the rear, so I'm going to try to pull it through the enemy. And we'll see if we can get it out. And those guys are going to shoot. This guy's going to move this way. And this brute unit is going in. All right, I lost one unit of brutes. Because they were getting shot in the rear as well. These guys, I can rear charge the Helmwall defenders. We've got the Eisenman regiment shooting these guys in the butt. Which means that they should be taking additional damage. My scale bows can, or my venom tail archers can actually charge. This bulwark unit is out of ammunition, so that's fine. And then with the flanking RTS concave, we were able to defeat this bulwark unit. Now, I did lose a brute unit because I sort of threw them in, but it was at least my low-level brute unit. These guys I kind of want to back out as well. And we'll throw our scale bows in before we take more casualties on our brutes. I need to be a little careful with my blood Carnos, because the glyphstone phalanx, of course, is an anti-large shooting unit. Or an anti-large melee unit. So I'm going to have it switch what it's fighting. Our obsidian scales did very well in this fight, I have to say. Because we got them against the anti-large enemies, and so just an armor-piercing armored infantry unit against the enemy halberd unit was totally fine. But losing a brute unit there was pretty rough. Let's go ahead and claim our rewards, and we'll start by conscript survivors, and we can see what we get here. I guess I'll just take another bulwark unit. I mean, they've been very good. And then we'll go ahead and recruit another unit here, and I'll get a Venom Tail Archer, and then I can prestige it. And then I'll go to the Deepstone Hold. So I have the option of healing. I don't think I want to fight the garrison here, but I guess I will spend my money. The other option is to just deposit all of this money for the meta progression of the game, but let's try recruiting one thing here and seeing what we get. Because I'm going to combine these, and I could maybe get another silver bulwark unit if I recruit twice. So let's try that. Oh no, we can only recruit once. Okay, well then let's just deposit all of our gold. And then we're going to the last fight. So this damaged bulwark unit, I think I would rather just have all my units full health, though we'll see what the enemy situation is. We have the Abyssal Delve Knights, which are good against monsters. We have Glyphstone Phalanx, Drakefire Riflers, Grimfire Guns. No Bulwarks, which is kind of nice for us. The Blood Carnos is maybe a little bit rough just because they have two Glyphstone Phalanxes, so it's anti-large enemies. And the Delve Knights have Monster Slayer, which I assume gives them... Okay, if enemy forces contain monstrous units. So basically, if I have any monstrous units... Now, we have no way to not have monstrous units in this fight. So it's just going to be doing 2x damage. That's a cool bonus. Let's go ahead and take the fight here. I think this was a very bad matchup for us, Rolling Dwarves as our last opponent in Act 3 here. Because they have a lot of stuff that's anti-large, a lot of stuff that's really tough to deal with for our current setup. But I think we'll be okay. And that's it. Now, I can have my two Bulwark units also be part of Group 1.
As you say, absolutely.
Once again, I'm wishing there was a way to lock the unit formations.
No problem.
So there's the Grimfire guns. I'm going to stay out of range of those. We'll have our bulwarks kind of work our way up and see if we can trigger some enemy movement. I don't know exactly what triggers the enemies starting to do stuff.
As you wish.
I could bait with my Blood Carnos, because that's going to cause the Grimfire gun to start firing, at least. Once again, it's not letting me turn my units. Okay, it did there. Definitely a few minor bugs that the game needs to work on in terms of unit control. Trying to get the enemy to start moving. I'm just going to be shooting with my bulwark, even though this is a heavily shielded enemy. And we'll have you shoot the Drakefire riflers. And now we can have my Cav get on the Grimfire guns. These guys, even though they have Monster Slayer, they aren't actually anti-large, which is interesting. But let's have you guys just take this stuff out, and we'll have my ranged units shooting the enemy anti-large in the back. We've got our brutes moving around the side here. And our bulwark is just going to be doing this. All right, we can shoot the enemy cavalry because, of course, we have anti-large on all of our ranged units. The Blood Carnos, I think... It can definitely get into the Grimazul Ancients effectively, but let's just have it do this, and then we'll have Group 2 go there, and we'll charge, we'll rear charge. No, this is 2 Glyphstone Phalanxes, so I'm happy to have my bulwarks just fight those, the Glyphstone Phalanxes. Then we've got our ranged units taking out the enemy mobility pieces. Yeah, this fight, because there just weren't a bunch of bulwarks, was a lot easier. And then these guys getting shot in the rear, they're shielded, but it shouldn't be a problem because we're shooting them in the rear right now. Then over here, we've got the Drakefire Riflers and the Abyssal Delve Knights. And the Delve Knight unit, it's a Grimazul Ancient unit as well, okay. Basically just trying to surround and kite the enemies a little. And the bulwark just being so tough is really nice here. Then we'll have my range units shoot the Delve Knight. We'll get the Grimazul Ancient. We'll keep moving our brutes away. We'll rear charge this enemy just to break them. We'll have our Obsidian Scales get in on the Grimazul Ancients. And then the rest of our range is just going to focus down. Once we've killed the Drakefire Riflers, we'll focus down the Abyssal Delve Knights with range. Because these guys actually aren't shielded. And our large units can all attack the Grimazul Ancients, because those don't have anti-large or double damage. And the Delve Knights are just getting shot to pieces, so... Should be actually a very clean final battle here. Funny how tough this map was, though. And the Grimazul Ancients should break shortly, winning us this run. All right. Nice. So I'm really liking that there's a little more challenge. You know, I lost some units. Mostly through carelessness, but not entirely through carelessness, just because of the enemies actually doing stuff. It does seem like powder units are just busted. I mean, the Eisenman Regiment basically hard carried us through that entire game. And every time we faced an enemy powder unit, it was so dangerous. So, even with, yeah, it's only 14 missile strength, but that's still just a lot of damage. And a lot compared to the Scalebow Kobolds, which have 5 missile strength, which is part of why these guys fell off near the end. And the Venomtail Archers did pretty well as well. There weren't too many large enemies for our range units to focus on, but overall that was a very strong showing for our army. Act 3 complete, and we got total victory. We unlocked Valthrek's Prime Claw. That Sounds fun. I really liked the mechanic where you just upgrade your kobolds for free, even if we then ended up removing them later on. And then we deposited 104 gold. So that was a great success of a run. Looking forward to continuing to play this game. Definitely let me know if you want to keep seeing more of this, especially as I get to higher difficulties and checking out the other factions and everything. There's still a couple secret factions to unlock, so I'm looking forward to doing that as well. And yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this run. As always, of course, if you have enjoyed the video, feel free to leave a comment and hit like. Helps me out with the algorithm, so I appreciate you taking the time to do that. And of course, you can subscribe to my channel for more of this and other strategy game analysis. Cheers, folks. I'll catch you next time.